I can't remember the exact term that you use, but let's just say that you're the leading officiant in the state of Virginia. You're the number one. Um, when did you start positioning yourself like that? How did you determine that it was a credible enough statement? And I mean, do you still kind of wrestle with it? Because I feel like a lot of people are not selfish enough in their business to promote themselves to what their customers believe they are. And I'm just, you hear people win all these awards, you hear people doing great stuff from word of mouth in general, yet they never promote it themselves or position themselves to take advantage off of that. Is that something that you've done? Well, just tell the whole story on that, I guess. Yeah.
I would say from the beginning, taking confidence in my work. And when I sit with younger people who are just starting out in their business, I can think of a videographer that I'm working with now. He's like, I don't want to charge that much. I'm not that good. I'm like, no, you are that good. And you should have confidence in the product that you're doing, because if you don't have confidence, who else will? Um, I think when I first started my business, the focus was the couple and doing, God's work. But um, eventually, like my price point was so low. I remember I had officiants come and beg me to go up in cost, and I was like, no, no, I'm doing the Lord's work. I'm going to only charge this dollar amount. And then after a while, I started. I think I was paying the couple to show up at some of their weddings, so I realized quickly that I needed to change. But
What kind of pricing are we talking about in that case? Like what
when I first started, my fees were $85 a wedding.
and what are they
So
now?
they average around 500 to 1,000 a wedding.
Got it.
Yeah, so I mean, it's still low cost, but I like to say that I'm the cheapest thing that is at a wedding, but the most only reason that anyone needs to be there. So, uh, and if all these people could charge thousands of dollars, I can charge my $500. And my line is that we can start the party at hello, and now that I do so.
So
Uh,
so it's interesting you said other officiants were telling you to charge more, probably because people were going to you because you were the cheaper one, right? And
yeah.
so they wanted that rate to go up. But now you're explaining to people that it sounds like, mentor and coach in different businesses, like, yo, you are good at this, you need to see your value. Yeah, I think most people undervalue themselves and they're like, oh, I would never pay for that. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, just because you're not the customer, that person will, and their interest, like, it it's cool to hear that it sounds like it's come full circle on that.
Yeah. I very quickly changed my price point from $85, from being the cheapest guy in town to being the most expensive. Um, Eventually, I started listing myself as Hampton Roads number one wedding pastor, uh, only because I was. And I think it's okay to speak and walk into the calling or the blessing that you have been given to do the things if you're good at what you do, then be good at what you do and talk about it, because no one else is going to talk about it. But the awards came, and the numbers came, and I remember though what really helped me was meeting a a platform speaker at a national wedding conference. She was like the nation's number one or whatever. I don't know. That's how they staged her. And so she said that she did 336 weddings in 1 year. And I said, oh, I did that my first year. And I was in year two at that point. And so my goal in life was to come back to the conference the next year and do 500 weddings. And I did. Well, I got 492 weddings that year, but I came back
So
to her and
close.
she didn't believe. She was like, I don't think I'm curious how many weddings you did. And I told her. She's like, oh, well, how many did you do, lady? And she's like, I did 396. I'm like, oh, okay. So, and we're friends to this day now. We cohort with each other. She's up in DC. I'm down here. I send her stuff. She sends me stuff, and well, we'll bounce some things off with each other. And it's a lot of fun. But we respect each other, and we're good at what we do, and we talk about it. And I think that's the most important piece. Eventually, awards came, and my numbers were so high with weddings. So like 600 plus weddings. I think I average around 692 or something like that. People don't want to know that number. They already feel bad or about their own numbers, and I don't want them to do that. But I think I got an award in 2018, 17 that said I was the #2 wedding vendor out of all the industries. And I'm just like, all right, well, I own it. I'm the #2 wedding vendor in all industries. I got you all these, so let's go. But the other part is, it's not just talking about and walking in the confidence that you're good at what you do. You actually have to be good at what you do. And the people that are around me believe that and they prefer that, and they want me to be at their venue, talking about their venue, eating their food, looking at their makeup, looking at their ice art or their whatever the art is, or the creativity, design work that they're doing. They want me to see it, talk about it, because they like working with me, and they like me talking about it too, because people pay attention.
When do you get pitched into to be the officiant? Like, are they coming to you pretty early on? Is it is someone else? Is the wedding planner coming to you? Like, what's the biggest percentage of your leads coming from?
Google, the Knot, Wedding Wire, and word of mouth. Word of mouth is actually #2. Google's #1, and then the wedding websites are 3 and 4. I'm in all phases of introduction. So sometimes it's I'm the very first thing that's booked. Sometimes I'm the very last thing that booked. There's one young lady, she had, I don't know, spent $70,000 on her wedding, and she didn't have an officiant booked. So a week before her wedding, she calls me and she's like, "Are you available?" I'm like, "I'm not, but I have 3 people who work for me, and one of them are. So let's just get the contract signed and get someone there." So we did everything that we needed to do, and she got booked and taken care of, and she had a fantastic wedding 6 days later. So.
With that, do you interview when you have that initial meeting? Are you interviewing them to see if they're a right fit, one for you as from a business standpoint, and then also from a wedding? Are you wedding material standpoint?
Yes, that's a very good point. I interview every single inquiry. I get 300 or 400 inquiries a month, and 100% of them are do. But I have these systems in place that I've curated and designed and have meticulously developed so that I can make sure that it is. But one of the first things is, after we even have a fantastic conversation, you might have told me 100% of the details, I'm going to require you to do a questionnaire. And the questionnaire just makes you sit down and put all of it in writing, because I don't like to guess or to wonder or to remember, because I just don't have the bandwidth to do all of that. And if they don't want to do my inquiry questionnaire, I don't want to work with you. If you answer one-word answers, I don't want to work with you. I don't have time to babysit. I don't have time to hold your hand. I'm not your wedding planner. I'm your pastor. We can set up a counseling session. That's another service line. But this is my process. And if you want to stick with me, I'll stick with you. But you got to follow it this way.
I wonder if Tim knows where I'm going with this. So to be on the show, we have a questionnaire as well, just like you do, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a guide for us to look at. It's also something from a show notes perspective, so we have the exact links that you want to do. Sometimes we don't know the people, right? So you and Tim know each other better than I know you, right? So he can lead more questions in that because he knows that. But if I want to be informed enough, but how many people aren't willing to, spend 3 minutes to fill out a form that they should already know and should just be a copy and paste job anyway? But it's like, if you're not willing to do this thing, just like you said, I'm not willing to work with you. We're not willing to have you on the show if you're not willing to, give us a little bit. And it's not hard. But I'm not surprised too why, people are just lazy. And it's like, whatever. Like, it ain't hard.
Yeah.
And it's interesting in the sense of, you're 692. I mean, if you took everybody, who knows? It could be 1,800, it could be 1,900 people. But, and again, this is another really important aspect of business, is knowing your market, knowing who your clients should be, and not everyone is necessarily going to be your customer.
Right.
Do you try to make money off of those people who suck at filling out those forms? Do you give them to your
No,
competitors? You just let them high and dry. Got it.
I just let them go. So because
Bye.
at the end of the day, I have to show up to this wedding, and if they're this disorganized, just imagine my schedule with 5 or 6 weddings in a day. If they're not going to start at a 3:00 prompt, for example, I've got a 4:15 or 4:30 already booked, and I'm leaving. I'm going to sign the documents, and I'm going to leave. I've only done that once. They were 3 hours behind though, so it was okay to leave on that one. But the point is that my schedule is so tight. That's how I'm going to run my life, run my business, and if I can 9 times out of 10 anticipate if you are fudging or delaying or not wanting or giving me sass, if you will, when I show up, all of that is presented on their day, and it's just their family, their personality. It exudes them. That's just who they are as humans, and that's fine. I just don't want that in my business because I don't have
I've
time.
been directly involved within our entrepreneurial community for years. And the most common question I get is, Tim, I want to get involved, but I don't know what events I should attend. Well, StartWheel eliminates that pain point because we consolidate all the events you should attend into a single calendar. Now you'll be in the know and see where to spend your time. Gone is the need to search multiple websites and calendars. Just head to startwheel.org and see for yourself. That's startwheel.org.